The Army did not know the extent of the victory. The nation did not realize as yet what had been done. But by November, one man would understand what had been done. Abraham Lincoln would come to this place where we now gather and bring meaning to the enormous sacrifice and pain of Gettysburg. Lincoln came simply to dedicate the soldier cemetery. With coffins still stacked nearby and spent shells still littering the fields, Lincoln did much, much more than that. He spoke to thousands of people who had gathered for the dedication ceremony. He also spoke to every future generation of Americans. He spoke of what Gettysburg meant in the great sweep of world history, that America, humanity's greatest experiment in democracy, should have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, should not perish from this earth. Lincoln knew that if the great American experiment failed, then freedom failed. If the Union lost, the great progress of the world was set back a century or more, perhaps forever. At Gettysburg, the world's future was in the balance, and at Gettysburg, the world won. That great victory and the ultimate victory that would follow at Appomattox Courthouse set the stage for a revolutionary change in the world, just as Lincoln knew it would. The preservation of the American Union and the struggle for basic human dignity that became its primary motivation established the foundation for America's growth. Politically and economically, we became the world's leading power. Our example proved to people everywhere what liberty in harness could do, what powerful values could create, what a union of free men and women was capable of accomplishing. Lincoln had told the Congress in December of 1862, 7 months before Gettysburg, that in giving freedom to the slave, we assure freedom to the free, honorable alike in what we give and what we preserve. Father Abraham would be very proud today, for today our example has shown the way to liberty and independence to so many around the world, to Poles, to Hungarians, to Czechs, Slovaks, Lithuanians, Latvians, to Russians, Ukrainians, and a host of others. Yes, it is true that many of these newly freed people around the world are confronting wrenching and difficult situations, just as we did in 1863. But how hopeful it is that they wrestle with their liberties instead of with their chains. The brave men who died on this battlefield laid the foundation for this world struggle as surely as did Thomas Jefferson when he wrote the words of our Declaration of Independence 87 years before Gettysburg. Jefferson gave the world the words of freedom. Gettysburg gave the world the blood of freedom. After Gettysburg, a reborn America was destined to lead itself and to lead the rest of the world to true freedom. We did not come to this role of world leadership as tyrant or as king. We came to it as a union of free men and free women. We offered our leadership so that others might follow, not into the constraining bonds of empire, but into the full and unfettered liberty of justice, law, and human rights. With America, history had evolved a new power on this earth, a trusted power, a power with a purpose of liberty. Today, nations around the world are making our founding words, we the people, a fundamental part of their own constitutional vocabulary. Today, it is we the people who are taking charge. It is we the people who are giving orders. It is we the people who are throwing out tyrants and dictators and despots. When new national leaders around the world speak, they speak of their allegiance to the people, of their power from the people, and their obligation to the people. Just last week in Moscow, President Boris Yeltsin of Russia said, "I took an oath to serve the people, and nobody else." A direct link from Moscow back here to Gettysburg. In June of 1990, when Nelson Mandela spoke to a joint session of Congress. I sat in the audience and I listened very carefully, and what he said went straight to my heart. This black man who had been in a South African jail for 27 years said that he went to jail because it would have been immoral not to go to jail. He said it would have been an act of treason against the people not to have gone to jail for his beliefs. And then he explained why. He said, we could not have made an acquaintance through literature with human giants such as George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Abraham Lincoln, and not have been moved to act as they were moved to act. Yes, my friends here today, Gettysburg was a stunning victory. It was a victory for the Union. It was a victory for America. It was a victory for the world. And it was especially a victory for black Americans, for African Americans. For my profession, the profession of soldiering, the results of that victory became immediately evident. Not only did African Americans fight for freedom in the Civil War, 186,000 strong, to include the 54th Massachusetts that you see represented before you, but following the war, in 1866, President Johnson signed a law which for the first time permitted blacks to serve in the uniform of the nation in time of peace. This new law created 6 regiments of black soldiers, 2 of cavalry and 4 of infantry. And from that small but vital beginning came the Buffalo Soldiers, who helped win the West, the famous 369th Infantry Regiment of World War I, the Tuskegee Airmen of War II, the Navy's Golden 13, the 92nd Infantry Division, all of World War II fame. These units, plus dozens of others, were filled with black Americans dedicated to their nation, African Americans in uniform. But our nation still gave them less than their due. These men and women continued to fight for America while the benefits of being a citizen were largely denied to them. Slowly, time worked its progress. Sacrifice followed sacrifice. Soldier followed soldier. Courage piled up on courage until today. I am proud to say that I am the first African American in the over 50 years of this anniversary ceremony to deliver these annual words of commemoration. But I do not come here alone. I come here accompanied by the hundreds of thousands of black men and women who served before me, the unsung heroes of 100 battlefields in more than half a dozen wars since our civil wars. It was on their strong backs and on the firm foundation of a free union laid right here at Gettysburg that I could climb and become the first black chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the Armed Forces of our nation. Father Abraham would be doubly proud. His tireless efforts as commander-in-chief reaped great rewards for America, for the world, for African Americans, for all Americans who love this country. In his first inaugural address, Lincoln used the imagery of the battlefield and of the home place when he described what America's goal was, is, and always must be. These words of Lincoln are as relevant today as they were over a century ago on the eve of the most tragic war our nation ever fought. In that address, Lincoln said, "The mystic cords of memory, stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone all over this broad land, will yet swell the chorus of the Union when again touched, as surely they will be, by the better angels of our nature.